It truly is like your blueprint. And it's something that you need to modify. And I suggest every 6 months, if not a year, because your business is ever changing. So your business plan should change with it.
Buy Black Podcast, episode 70, The Fundamentals of Business, with small business planning consultant Sheena D. Morgan. Welcome to Buy Black, the voice of Black business. The only podcast that provides free marketing for growing Black companies, education for budding entrepreneurs, and a reliable place for consumers to find and spend money in quality Black-owned businesses. I'm your host, Gerald Jones, and if you learned something from this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating or review on iTunes. Ready? Let's get to work. Business, your only podcast dedicated to helping you find and support Black-owned businesses. And today, I am talking to a very special woman. Her name is Sheena Morgan. And what makes her so special is that she does almost the exact same thing that I do, only she does it better. She's been doing it longer, and she's got a whole lot more clients. Sheena, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. See, I told you we were going to have some fun. So I'm not going to run my mouth. I'm going to tell y'all out there, if you are watching in the chat right now, first things first, go tag as many people as you can to get them in this. We are going to talk about the fundamentals of business and action steps and all kinds of great stuff. And if you got a business or want a business, you want to listen to Sheena. All right. And then once she's gone, then you want to listen to me. But right now you want to listen to her. Sheena, talk to us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to try to condense this really quick. First of all, I'm a mother, professional. I have 20 years in the supplier diversity, small business industry field. I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur it'll be going into my 5th year. And right now, big surprise, and you didn't know this when we talked last time, but okay. I'm actually candidate for mayor of my city here in Glen Heights.
I saw that on Facebook. I was like, what's going on?
I'm telling you, it never stops. It never stops, man. So, there's a lot going on. But, I'm a Navy brat. So I've, traveled lots of opportunities to just kind of delve into different cultures and customs. What else about me? Well, I'm a lover of the small business owner. I have gone through corporate America, still in corporate America now, noticed that there were some things that I could bring to the small business, owner that I really couldn't do kind of in my position, in corporate America. So I decided to start my own business and really try and help folks, from a different avenue. And it's been great, a bit challenging. Even as an entrepreneur, kind of falling into some of the same pitfalls that you tell your clients not to do. Yes.
So what's awesome is that, you, like you said, you see in corporate America that it's so hard to turn a ship as big as the Titanic, but you can help a rowboat, right? Like, let's just start paddling in this direction and we'll get where we're going. So talk to us a little bit about what is it that you do? How do you help those small businesses get going in the right direction?
Well, the first thing that I do is I like to challenge business owners to really get back to the fundamentals, the framework of their business. And I tell business owners all the time that if you don't have a business plan in place, then ultimately you're setting yourself up for failure. And anyone that tells you, and there's lots of stuff out there, folks are like, oh, you don't need a business plan. You just get out there and go. Business plans are so outdated. Well, that is a fallacy. There is no truth behind that. And you should know that without a plan, you're going to plan to fail. So that is what I do right off the bat. Most of the clients that I deal with, they have had business plans in place. And they need a little realignment because they're realizing that what they started out doing a year or so ago is not working right now. So, really, there's that consultation phase. We're just gaining a lot of clarity to find out what it is that you want your business to do and what is your business doing right now. Mm-hmm. Most business owners, and myself included, you start out with a great vision because you know that your business is going to be awesome. And you start to find out that the clients that you're attracting, the way in which your business is moving is not aligning with that vision. And for some business owners, you know, we get very complacent in not realizing that we need to make change.
Right.
And so we just start that avalanche, and before you know it, it's too late for you to turn around and try to fix things.
Yes. Well, at least too late to turn it around and do it on your own, right? You
Correct.
can always bring in an expert.
Correct. You can.
To help you start writing that ship, right? So we'll talk a whole lot more about that. I want to back up real quick, and I want to ask about the name, Lengo.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How do we get Lengo? What is the brand about?
Well, Lengo in Swahili means focus.
Okay.
And from the time that I was executive director of a nonprofit, I have always told entrepreneurs, focus on what it is that you do well. Just focus on that. And then everything else we can work on afterwards. So I was sitting up and I'm like, you know, what am I going to call my business? I didn't want the word consulting to be in there, because I'm in Dallas, Texas, and there are thousands of consultants. And so I didn't want my name to be in there. I wanted it to stand out. And I just started doing a Google search. And I said, you know, I want to find a word that means focus, but I don't want the name of my business to be focus.
Okay.
And I came across Lengo. I threw it over to my son and I'm like, how do you think this sounds? And I told him, make a logo for me. And he's a photographer. And so the logo for my company actually looks like a lens, a photography, photo lens. Yeah.
Okay.
And I loved it. I sat on it for a while and I was like, this is good. And so I actually went through a little rebranding after I launched my business and changed my domain name to lingofocus.com. And for small business owners out there, if you're ever doing a rebranding, Google some of the tags that you use for your company and see where you come up on that search list. And I realized that I use Lengo Focus. I tag that on everything. So when I put it into Google, that was the first thing that popped up.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, okay, yeah, let me change my domain name so that my company is at the top of this list. Just a little SEO 101. So yeah, that's what Lengo means. It's focus.
I love it. And so I'm seeing we've got at least 4 people who are watching live. For other people, as y'all jump in, if you have questions for Sheena, please jump in with your questions. We are just going to kind of flow with this conversation. So I want to talk a little bit about the work that you do with your clients. What types of clients do you typically attract, or do you try to attract? And, you know, if your perfect client was sitting in the audience right now, what would that person look like, and what are they looking for? What kind of problem are they trying to solve?
Typically, my clients are small startup business owners. They are kind of in that phase of either I want to start a business and I'm not quite sure how, or I've started a business and now I need some help because I'm missing some pivotal pieces of this puzzle to make it work. I would have to say that the majority of them are minority-owned businesses, and that's just the space that I have been in professionally for 20 plus years. So I know a lot of the businesses in this space, and I'm referred by, you know, some of them as well. So that would be the client that I really enjoy working with. And it is strictly because I understand the importance of starting out your business with a plan, with a very firm foundation. As I said, most of them are very small. So I have also done some, you know, kind of redefining of my business structure to make sure that I'm able to help them. Because I do understand that, you know, when you're starting out, you don't have the type of money to spend on very expensive consultants, and there are great ones out there. But I believe that there's somebody for everyone at a stage in their business. So yeah, small minority businesses really needing kind of support in developing the framework or the fundamental structure of their company is my prime client.
Okay. And if somebody fits that mold and they say, Sheena, help me solve my problems for me, what do
I'm going to tell them I can guide you now.
Okay. So they got to be ready to do the work.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
My business focuses on developing competitive business plans because I have seen throughout my career that for most of the minority entrepreneurs that I've come in contact with, they're great at their craft. You know, they have the technical competence to run that business, no doubt. But when it comes to truly understanding the market, understanding whether or not they've really entered the market at the right time, what the trends of that market are, developing a really great network of support in order to ride those trends, to understand the changes, to even understand what their value proposition is when they are seeking investment. You know, they lack a lot of that. And it's because market research is not fun. You know,
no, it really isn't. That's the part that everybody avoids. But I mean, the problem is when you do market research the right way, you don't have any questions anymore because the market has told you exactly what you need to do. So it's like, once you've done it, you realize the value of it. But in doing it, it's like, why am I wasting so much of my time?
Mm-hmm.
So for the people in the audience right now who are listening, who hear the word business plan and immediately they throw on their little go to sleep eye covers and they just tilt over and it immediately makes their brain go away, right? We hear what a business plan is, or we hear a 14-page business plan, a 40-page business plan. You don't do a business plan because it's just going to sit on the shelf. You're never going to do it. So why? One, what is this thing? What is this mystical thing called a business plan? Two, why do I really, really need one?
Well, what this mystical thing is really the plan of your success. That is what it is. It is your ability to know how your business is structured, forecasting what your business plans to do, and you've got it all in one space, one little, document. And it can be 3 pages, 14, 40, 100, whatever floats your boat. But it truly is like your blueprint. And it's something that you need to modify. And I suggest every 6 months, if not a year, because your business is ever changing. So your business plan should change with it. So yes, that is what that mystical thing is. And why? I mean, why not? Why not have a plan? Because I can guarantee you that for the small business owners that are starting out, you need money. You need funding. A bank is not going to give you funding if you don't know anything about your business, your industry, and where you're going. And then on top of that, what you're going to do with that funding. When I write a business plan, I always have a section in there that's called the funding ask. So I'm asking you, banker, for this, and this is what I plan to do with it.
Okay.
That is critical.
Well, and that is the thing. A lot of people, they say, well, I just need money for my business. For
Right.
what? Right? Or
Exactly.
and that's the thing with investors too. It's like, I'll give you this percentage of my company in exchange for this amount of money. Well, how are you coming up with that valuation? Right? Why do you think that such percentage of your company is worth so much money? What value are you already creating in it? What assets do you already have? What cash flow do you already have? If you don't have all those things planned out, if you can't show them the numbers, then you're just making up a number off the top of your head. And maybe I give you that amount of money and, in exchange, you give me 95% of your business. Because right now, that's what it would be worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So planning that stuff out is huge. What are the major components of a real business plan, right? I'm sure they can get fancy. You say they can go 3 pages, 40 pages, 100 pages. But the major components of a real solid business plan, what needs to be in there?
You have the stuff called the fluff. And that's the executive summary and, the company information where you really give the background, origin of the company. You talk about your staff, your key personnel. That to me is all the fluff. That's all the easy stuff. The major components that I see in a business plan is one, going to be your market analysis. It's also going to be your customer or consumer profile. You're going to look at your demographic, your target market. And some people might think that customer profile is definitely my target market. Well, not all the time is that true. So you really have to vet those out and determine, what your true target is based on where you're located, based on how you're going to do business. Are you just doing business locally or are you doing business globally? So those to me, and then as well as your competitive advantage. It's great that you know what the market says, but what is your competitive advantage as it relates to your business in that market? How do you set yourself apart from your competitors? And that's something that I've taught in my masterclass, is how to really develop that competitive advantage. Those to me are the most critical points of your business plan. And any investor is going to want to know, if I give the money to you, then what's to say that someone doesn't come along and do exactly what you're doing and steal all the market share from you?
Yep.
What makes you so different? And if you can't answer that question, if your business plan can't answer that question, then you really need to go back and do some review, or you need to call me.
Right. Why? Both? I think it's both of those. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. One more question before we start getting into the fundamentals and the action steps. What's the difference between a business plan and a business model? One of the tools I like to use in my version of doing this is the business model canvas, right? That's where I like to start. For those of us listening, what's the difference between a business plan and a business model? Are those things interchangeable, or is there something different about one from the other?
Well, I think that your business model gives you more of a large picture of what it is that your business is going to do. It really, to me, is the mechanics of your business. You kind of walk through the phases of operation in a business model. Your business plan is a bit more granular. And whereas in the business model, you are identifying your competitors, I think your business plan takes it just a deeper level and really starts to look at what type of resources those competitors might have, how long they've been in the industry. So both of them, I think, are critical to the framework of your business. But I wouldn't say that just doing a business model is the same as doing a business plan or vice versa. I think you need to really do both.
Yeah, and I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Like I said, I love the business model canvas because, in one page, you create a visual of kind of what the business looks like at a 100,000-foot level. And then from there, you can go into each one of those blocks and say, okay, now how are we going to do each one of these things? And it's like you're writing your business plan within your business model, and then you can just transfer that into the structure that you need. So I really like that. So enough holding people up. Let's get to the fundamentals of business. Let's talk about that. Talk to us about what are those fundamentals of business.
Okay. Well, as your listeners will learn if they go to my website or follow me on Facebook, I love to take the pretentiousness out of business, break it down, make it easy, and make it fun. When I was sitting down vetting out all the different details of my business, it was the most boring part of starting. I was sitting there and I'm thinking, you know what? There's got to be a way to make this fun, So I just looked at the word fundamentals, the F, the U, and the N, and I created kind of this really cool way to break out the segments of your business as you start the planning. So the F in fundamentals is, of course, your function. So with the function, we're really talking about like the mechanics of your business. And I like to tell business owners there's like three main focus points. You got management, your processes, and then oversight and compliance. So those are going to be the fundamentals, and you're going to vet out management from a standpoint of like your overall business management as well as your business operations. And then when you look at processes, that's everything, internal, external, how those processes impact one another. What you might find is that you have, for instance, an HR process of where you're going to hire and fire, and how that process is contingent upon a lot of other things within your company. So the fundamentals really gives you an opportunity to kind of look down at how the gears are really going to work together. And then you've got understanding. This is when we start looking at your purpose, your vision, your mission, the desired need for that product. You start looking at your window of opportunity. Are you entering the market at the right time? Technical and managerial expertise. So for me, understanding is more of like the intrinsic way that business is going to flow. What is it going to take for it to really operate? Much like, your nervous system, how is everything kind of tied in together? So that's the understanding component of fundamentals. And then you've got the network. Your network is just that, your pragmatic partners. So you have your attorney. You should also have a CPA. You should also have a financial advisor. And just FYI, your CPA and your financial advisor are not the same person. Your attorney, your CPA, and your financial advisor are not the same person. A business consultant. If you're in the construction industry, having a bonding agent and an insurance agent are going to be needed. Along with those pragmatic partners, you also have mentors. And mentors are key. You need personal and professional mentors. But you need someone that's not going to co-sign on everything that you say. Because that's what we love to hear as entrepreneurs, that our idea is great. There are no holes in it, and we're going to run with it. And you need people that are going to tell you that's not going to work, and this is why. And then also, one of the things that you need to look at are SME industry groups. Consulting is a big industry. There are a lot of groups out there that you can join. And while you might think of the members as competitors, I like to call them competimates, because you might find out that these people have been in the industry for decades. You are not a threat. I mean, they have so much of this market share that, sharing with you some of the things, some of the trends of that industry, or some of the things that can help you from hitting those same pitfalls that they did might be of great benefit to you by having membership in some of those industry groups. Right. So that's really I
want to time out real quick.
Yes.
SME, subject matter experts.
Correct.
Okay,
yes,
just for everybody listening. So SME in our world, subject matter expert. Okay, continue. Time back in.
So that's really like the fundamentals. And you break it out and you take your time with each one. And I say start with the function because you really need to understand how the mechanics are really going to operate within your business. For me, a lot of it was process. How was I going to formulate my intake process for a consultation versus an intake process for someone that was wanting direct services immediately? They're two different processes. And when I started out, I had one process, just one. And I found out this is not working because I'm missing some critical touch points with this consultation process, and I'm getting absolutely nothing over here for my intake on just a general service. And that sometimes it's stuff that you kind of find out as you go, trial and error. But I hope that by hearing this today, this might kind of, prune someone's ears to say, okay, let me just press pause and kind of look at this from, a different aspect.
Right. And so the interesting thing, right? Coaches need coaches, consultants need consultants, therapists need therapists. Like, just because you're the person that people come to for the answers doesn't mean that you've got all the answers for yourself. In fact, 99 times out of 100, it is next to impossible to solve the problems for you that you are solving for other people every day. Testimonial right here. So,
absolutely.
So how do you, as a person who knows the importance of having a coach and a mentor, how do you select your mentors?
Well, let me tell you, I'm glad you asked that question. I actually have someone that has been a friend of mine for quite some time. But I mean, she is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I've gone to her and asked her, I had this one day I was just like breaking down. I'm like, okay, this is not working. I'm not driving my services to the target market that I want. I feel like I'm just all over the place. I went to her and I'm like, listen, I need some time on your couch because I need you to help me focus. And this is what I teach businesses how to do, and I'm having a problem. And, I sat there for probably an hour and a half and she was like, listen, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Get it together. What you're doing is not working. So you need to stop it. You need to sit down with a pad of paper and figure out what it is that you want to do. And she lit a fire under me and I was able to come back. And that's when my rebranding actually started.
Yeah.
So for me, I would say I look for people that are not afraid to tell me the truth because I have a very strong personality. And I can sway you to think that what I'm saying is A-okay. Like there is absolutely no fault in it, you know? So I try to find people that can look beyond that and really, you know, really tell me, Sheena, this is not it. And not just this is not it, but really help to guide me to where I need to be.
Yeah.
That's important in a mentor.
No, I love that. The trick there is there's so many people, for an entrepreneur or a business owner, who are happy to tell you that's not going to work, right? All of the friends, all the family, all the people who've known you forever, who are like, oh, you want to start a bit? That's cute. Well, this job going to be here when you get done with this thing that's going to fail, right? They are happy to tell you this is not going to work, but getting the person who's going to tell you, and this is why, and this is how you're going to be able to make it work, that's the rare thing, right? Finding people in your circle, or finding a good mentor or a coach or a consultant who has that expertise to be able to look you in the eye and tell you this ain't it, right? And sometimes I think, at least for me, it comes down to, I have been feeling this way for a while, but I'm questioning whether I should stop, because there's the sunk cost fallacy of I've already put so much time and energy into it. I don't like doing it. I really feel like I should quit. But what if the next one is the one that pops, and you just get that person that comes like, that's not working?
Mm-hmm.
Then why are you doing it? Just stop. And it's like, oh, okay, I can stop, right? Just giving you permission to do the thing that your heart is really telling you you should, right?
Yeah.
So important having a great coach, consultant, mentor. I want to back up a little bit, because you talked about competimates, and I wanted to talk real quick about that in this particular forum, right? You help people to either structure their new business or take the business that they've already got and put a business plan around it so that they can be successful. I am currently building my signature program, which helps people to take the business idea they have, to put a structure around it to turn it into a business, or take the business they already have and put a structure around it so that they can be successful. We basically do the exact same thing. And yet here we are, and I have you on my show, and I want the world to know what you can do. And if they need that work, I want them to come and hire you. Now, how crazy is that?
You know what? People would say we are insane. They would. But what they forget is that as small business owners, you are not going to go out there and get that $1 million contract with that big corporation. Your best bet of business is going to happen with those that are around you, those that are in the same boat as you are. And I just know from my experience in the minority business space, we are so often closed to the thought of doing what we're doing right now, exchanging ideas, holding each other up. You know, I remember when we had our preliminary conversation, and I walked away with notes just based off of, you know, what you were doing. And I'm like, wow, maybe I should consider doing that. You know, that's vital for us, because what we do is going to make more sense to each other at this level,
right,
than what some corporation is doing that's been in the game for 25 years.
Exactly. Right. And then on top of that, small businesses, right? You focus on small businesses. I focus on small businesses. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of small businesses out there that need our help.
Right.
I ain't gonna get all of them.
Me either.
Right? So knowing, and then on top of that, you talked about your target client. That's another thing. When we talk about competitive advantage, right? You were talking about helping people find their competitive advantage. What makes you different from me, even though we do the same thing? You focus on those brand new or shortly in the business entrepreneurs and business owners to help them get on the right path, right? I've identified my ideal client is going to be that person who's been in business for maybe about 5 years, and they're successful. They're making money, but at home, they're the first one in the business in the morning. They're the last one out at night. Their spouse or partner is not happy. They are not spending time with the kids, and they're at a point where they're thinking, should I sell this business? Am I going to lose my family because of this business? I'm looking for that business owner. to help them go back and do the same things that you do, right? And so if I'm interacting with a potential client and I see, okay, this person doesn't fit my ideal client mold, but I know that they are perfect for Sheena, I don't have to tell that client, sorry, I can't help you. I can make a warm introduction and say, I may not be the right person for you, but have you met Sheena? Exactly. And it's just the other way around. If you run across somebody that's just like, this just doesn't fit for me, this is going to be too involved, it doesn't fit the systems that I have, but I know Gerald's out there and I know he does a good job, we're going to send business to each other, right? That's literally how the rest of the world does business. As minorities, I don't know why we find it so hard to build those competimates out there.
Yes. In fact, I had written a blog last year about the importance of partnerships and how we miss the mark so many times in the minority community. And I'm going to put this out here and it may make some people upset, but I'm going to say in the Black community, we miss it entirely. So many other ethnic communities do it well. You see it in the Hispanic community. You see it in the Asian communities. They really understand the importance of that partnership and really building that ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's sad and it's really dismal because there are so many small businesses that don't make it as it is within that 1 to 5 year mark. And I would love to see the statistics on just how many of those are, Black owned businesses, because we do. We are in an industry, I know here in the Dallas area, you have saturated markets. There are a lot of markets that are, heavily, populated with Black owners. Mm-hmm. And we open up the same type of businesses going after the same types of, contracts and. Right. We just don't get it. Let's build a consortium. Let's take the Geralds, the Sheenas, everybody else that has their own niche and come together to really create something that's going to work for the greater good. But we don't do that. And then we're not there yet. Yeah. No. And we definitely don't pass off the opportunities. And I think that goes back to really being, I would say, secure within yourself, doing a lot of introspection to really make sure that you are ready to actually be that type of change agent in somebody else's business. And that's what you're doing. If you can pick up the phone, if I can say, you know what, I can't help you, but I know Gerald can, then hopefully I'm leaving some type of tangible impact on you and your business because I'm sending someone your way instead of trying to help them and ultimately hurting my brand because I'm not able to do what
I'm
they
not
need.
The right person for them, right? And that's one of those things where I feel like we can get there, but it takes the modeling, right? One of the most effective things I found from doing this podcast, I started it to try to get my audience to buy from Black-owned businesses. I got to be honest, it hasn't worked that way. It's just people will come and listen to this show and they say buy Black and they send me emails and this is all great. But when I put a business in front of them in order to get people to literally go buy right now, I use this product, I love it, this, that, and the other, crickets. Mm-hmm. But what I have found though is by talking to so many different people like you and like everybody else I've had on the show, there's been so many times where in a pre-interview, I'm like, oh, you need to talk to this person, and I can get people connected doing business. And then I'll have people who listen sometimes come and I'm like, oh, you need to connect with this person, that person. But a lot of times it ends up flowing directly through me rather than people just going from listening to a podcast to hiring somebody. But the value is still there, right? Creating the place. And I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you feel like you got to call me first because you got a connection with me, or if you just call the business owner directly. The bottom line is, if you kept calling me up and like, Gerald, I need a business plan. I got this great idea, but I really don't know how to get it structured. I can be like, okay, so that's not really my bag. I really work with business owners who are this far into it, but have you met Sheena? Right. And we can make this thing go. Mm-hmm. So that said, me running my mouth, there's one other thing that I really want to make sure that we talk about today. Mm-hmm. There is a specific exercise for those new entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out which one of my business ideas should I go after? What's the best one? And you've got a wonderful exercise that you like them to go through. And I want them to get that from you today. I want them to learn, how do I vet my business ideas? So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to give it back to you.
Awesome. Okay. So this I call the aspiration qualifier. I tell business owners to think of the top 5 things that they want their business to do. What do you want your business to be? Think about it. Just take about 5 minutes, and then write them down in no succinct order. Just write them down. So the first thing that I ask them to do is to rank them based on importance. So how important is that particular item to your business, to your overall dream, to what your business needs to do and be? The next thing is to rank them in terms of revenue. So out of those top 5, which one do you think is going to generate enough revenue for you initially? And that's key, because if you're in an industry that requires a lot of upfront capital and assets in order for you to do X, Y, and Z on the back end, you need to make sure you're starting out with that particular either service or product that's going to generate that type of revenue very quickly for you up front. And then the third thing they do is they rank it based on passion. So what sets your soul on fire? What gets you excited when you think about these top 5 things, and rank them? And then based on the rank, you look for the number ones in each slot. That tells you right there what your number one thing is. So this is what you need to start with. Some people have looked at it and they're like, I don't want to do that number one. I'm going to go back and re-rank them again,
Yeah.
But it gives you the ability to really start thinking about what is important to your business initially. And for me, I looked at wanting to take my master class and, get it online, get it out there to sell. And I thought that was the first thing that I needed to do. And when I sat down and started, really panning this thing out, I was like, that is not going to make me a lot of money up front because nobody knows me. Nobody knows that it works, so I had to rethink what my number one thing was going to be. And that's why I think that this exercise is really fun to do, but it also gives you a really great idea of where you can start, your business. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Okay. So, reminder for everybody who is watching live and listening, if you have any questions for Sheena, please drop them into the chat. In the meantime, I want to flip gears real quick. If it's okay, I want to ask you about your run. What was it that inspired you? And I'm curious. I'm very intrigued.
Wow. Well, you are going to get my first, interview on the mayoral run. You are.
Yes. Have we got time for it? I know that we had planned on being done about now, but we got time?
Go ahead. Yeah, we've got time.
All right. So.
Right.
You're running for mayor. Let's talk about it.
It's so funny. I never, ever thought that, being an elected official was anything that I wanted to do. I've been on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Glen Heights I'm going into my 3rd year now. Loved it. I bought a house out here. I said I need to get active. And the best way for me, just coming from that economic development background, was what's going on with planning and zoning. Let me see who's coming in and who's going out of this city. And, our former mayor, he resigned. And I was like, wow, we don't have a mayor. And I started being approached by people who don't know each other. And they would ask me, why don't you run for mayor? I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not a mayor. That's not me. Right. I just didn't see it, but I prayed on it and, sought a mentor to help me, kind of guide me through, since I don't know what being a mayor, is all about. I really wanted to talk to someone that had been a mayor of a city. I'm actually one of our sister cities here.
Okay.
And, I was like, okay, I think this is something that I can definitely do. And really being a visionary leader, being a strategic thinker, and wanting to just help the city that I live in, help my neighbors, make sure that we can take Glen Heights to a whole new level. Because we have the resources in place. It's just a matter of marrying that with the vision of the community. And people have been here for decades. Some people have just moved here. We're almost busting at the seams, with residential growth. So I figured, what? I'm going to put my name in the hat, and I'm number 3 on the ballot. I'm the only woman.
Okay.
in the race. So
All
I'm
right.
very excited about that. Our election is January 26th.
Okay.
So I am in like campaign mode right now. But yeah, it was really just out of me wanting to just help my community. And I figure why not? You know, I live here. It's my right to. So why not step up if I feel that I'm being led to do that? So yes, that is why I'm in the race. And
so we have a lot of listeners that are in Texas, a lot of them in the Dallas area. I'm not sure specifically if we have folks who are in Glen Heights because I don't know exactly where that's at, but maybe we do. So if that's the case, tell us what is your platform aside from being clearly the best choice because you are the only woman on the campaign, so you should win. But aside from that, tell us a little bit about your platform. What is it that you are planning and want to do for Glen Heights should you be elected mayor?
Well, small business to me is big business. So developing a small business hub here in Glen Heights would be phenomenal. We are kind of, I call it bedroom community, but we're kind of sandwiched in between a lot of cities that have had exponential growth within the past 20 years. And we have missed a lot of that. But one of the things that we don't have in this area is a true small business hub. An economy that is rich and good for the development of small and emerging businesses. We have a lot of undeveloped land, so we have a lot of space to do a lot of great things. So that definitely would be part of my platform, is making sure that we can develop that small business hub and help bring in businesses here that haven't really looked at Glen Heights as a place to kind of incite some economic development as well as growing jobs in this area.
Okay.
The other thing for first responders, very important to me. We have some great officers and firefighters in this area. We have wonderful staff that works at our police departments. And so making sure that we can have some competitive compensation packages in place so that we can not only attract new talent here, but keep the wonderful talent that we have as well, is also part of my initiative that I hope to, be able to push through once I'm elected mayor.
Cool. I love it. So another separate question. Obviously, I don't live there. However, if I did live there, I know the most important thing to me, because it's the most important thing to my wife, which means it's the most important thing to me, is schools. So
Right.
what's the current state of the school district there? And what are some of the things that you would plan to do about educating the youths?
Well, Glen Heights, unfortunately, does not have its own school district. So we share a district with DeSoto ISD, which is just north of us, and Red Oak ISD, which is just south of us. Two very good school districts. There has been a lot of buzz about Glen Heights creating its own school district, which I think is something that would be great for our city because, when I was raising up a little child, that was very important to me, was what school is he going to go to? And I wanted him to be able to go locally. So, that's definitely something that I know is going to be, at least within this new term of city council members, on the books for them to really look at. But I can tell you that right now we have two really good school districts for our students to go to. As well as, of course, in this area, we have a lot of charter schools, but definitely in the future, probably having a Glen Heights school district.
I love it. I love it. And so, just on the mayoral piece, if somebody wants to support your candidacy, if somebody wants to find you in order to throw a sign in the yard or a button on their chest or some money in your coffers, where can they go?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. It is, Morgan for Mayor, at Morgan for Mayor. So that's my Facebook handle. That's also my Instagram handle. And that's also my Twitter handle. I like to keep things simple.
Yes.
The website will be launching very soon, and it will be SheenaMorgan4GlenHeights.com. Hopefully I'll have that up this evening. And it will have links to donate, but I do have a PayPal account. It's paypal.me/Morgan4Mayor. If you would like to donate to help get these yard signs and buttons and everything else. And if you are in the Glen Heights or the Dallas area, we will be planning a campaign kickoff for this Saturday at Bear Creek Barbecue, located here in Glen Heights. And I will definitely have that information up on my Facebook page this evening.
Okie doke. And then the number 4 or the word 4?
The number 4.
Okay. Awesomeness. Yeah. And so that being the case, let's switch right on back to the business side, because I want to ask you the last few questions so I can help you get back to work, getting this campaign rolling.
Thank you.
So last questions I have for you. And again, for folks who've jumped back in with us, the government heard all this good information, said, nope, you can't have it. They shut my internet down. It's a whole big thing. It's fine. We're back. If you have questions for Sheena, get them in now, because we are in the final leg of the show. So the big question I want to ask you first is, what is the biggest challenge that you have ever faced, and how did you overcome it, or what did you learn from it?
For me, it was finding the time to balance my day job with opening my business. That was a huge challenge because I had to do time management differently. So it was, I'm getting up earlier, I'm going to bed later, I'm working on my lunch hours, but how do I really tweak that so that I'm effective at both? Because I didn't want to let my job down by not performing, because I have to eat. I've got a son in college, I have a mortgage, as well as marketing the business, that I found a bit challenging in that space, because I didn't quite know when I could tell people I was a business owner. I definitely couldn't do it when I was, wearing my day job hat.
Right.
But when I'm doing other events, people knew me as, this is Sheena Morgan with so-and-so company, but they didn't know me as Sheena with Lengo.
Right.
So finding, that space to really start talking about my business was also something that I kind of struggled with in the beginning.
Yeah, it is challenging. I mean, for me, that's a big part of why so much of this podcast has been for other people. It's been a labor of love and not a business for me, because like you, still in the corporate world. And so creating an art project that benefits people that aren't me is fine. Creating a business that benefits me on the side is a whole other thing, and they want paperwork and all this kind of stuff, right? And so it is very difficult when you're trying to transition to sole ownership, but you still got bills to pay, and it takes a while for that the regular income to get up there with clients in order for you to be able to make that transition. I feel that. Another question I really want to ask you is, what is your favorite tool that you use in your business to save you time, money, or energy, automate things, whatever that thing is that makes your life so much easier? I'd love to know what that is.
Awesome. Well, I have a few.
Okay. A few is good.
Yes. For the small business owner out there, FreshBooks. I use FreshBooks for all of my accounting. It is very small business friendly. It's similar to QuickBooks, but it is peeled back to a way that you can really understand your cash flow. You can understand your revenue, your expenses. I absolutely love it. They have an app on the phone. I can take a picture of my receipt, scan it in. Seamless. Also Acuity. I use that for my scheduling, and I have integrated that into my website. I'm also able to integrate that into Square, which is what I use for my merchant services. It's kind of like that one-stop shop for me. And again, it's got an app on the phone. Anything with an app, I am down for.
Got it.
But yeah, Acuity is great. And then Google Suite. I mean, who doesn't love Google Suite? It's great for you to collaborate. Everything is there. I can get on any computer and get to what I need. So yeah, those are the three that save me time, money, and frustration.
I love it. Those are perfect. And so now, rounding it out, we talked about what your perfect client looked like, your ideal client earlier in the show. It's that fairly new entrepreneur business owner who is trying to get the right legs behind their business up front. If that person is in the audience right now, or listening to the podcast when it's released, or listening to the replay of the video when it goes out to Facebook and the YouTube, how can that person get in touch with you to work with you, Sheena Morgan of Lengo?
I would say you could shoot me an email at Sheena@lengofocus.com. That's SHEENA @lengofocus.com. You're welcome to call me, 972-866-4660. Or you can go to my website, which is lengofocus.com, and go to schedule an appointment, fill out the form, get on my calendar, and we can start a consultation. I like to have a nice little clarity call. You get a 15-minute free clarity call with me, and we figure out whether or not there's some synergy there, if I can help you. If not, I will definitely find some resources that can. But those are the 3 ways that you can get a hold of me.
I love it. And that brings us to the final question of the show. What is your number 1 piece of advice for our Buy Black podcast community as a whole?
Plan, 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 and go. That's it. Plan, 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 and go. Make sure that you're really taking the time to ensure that your launch is as perfect as it possibly can be. There are going to be, pitfalls, but put the time into making sure that when you put your brand out there the first time, people know who you are. They know what you stand for. They know who you're targeting. So you don't have to go through that rebranding so early on in the startup of your business.
I do love it. All right. Well, that is it for our show tonight. We went a little bit over, but I feel like we got it in there. We kept it succinct. For everybody who watched live, thank you so much for being out there. Thank you for tagging your friends, getting people to come in. And for those of you listening to the podcast when it goes out, if you have questions about getting your business off the ground with a solid business plan, reach out to Sheena. And I believe that's it, folks. We will catch you in the next episode. We are out.
Thank you, Gerald.
Yes, ma'am.